Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We got something a little bit different today. Again, we're doing another pre-war, but this time it's an American flyer. So this is another gift from my uncle. Needed this one repaired. The wheels were really gummed up and weren't rolling very well. So this is kind of a work in progress because I'd already started on it. I wasn't going to video it because it's an American flyer and not a Lionel. And I really don't know much about these, but after giving it a quick look over, it's basically like the pre-war Lionel number 8 that I did a repair on. So I'm going to go ahead and tackle this. The first thing I want to show you, though, is one of the reasons why I don't like pre-war locomotives. And it has a lot to do, well, it has everything to do with the wheels and what is known as zinc pest. It's impurities in the zinc that have caused this to do this. I'll post a link that'll give the full scientific explanation because I'm not a scientist. I just know it's called zinc pest, and every pre-war locomotive wheel that I have dealt with personally has this problem. And what it does, as you can see in the back here, the real damage too, is it'll just crumble. So the big problem with this, one of the reasons I didn't want to work on this, because when I saw the wheels and they're all in this kind of state, they all have that cracking going on from the zinc pest. This one, I don't know if you can see it on camera. There it is. It's all over the face of it. It's just brutal. It's in bad shape. And there's what happens when it's this weak. Trying to get these wheels off, they just disintegrate. And here's the pieces to prove it. So this was one of the reasons why I don't like working on anything pre-war, or, you know, a lot of people like it. They are beautiful locomotives. They're just not my style, and this is a common problem with them. And I don't want to be replacing wheels constantly like everyone that I've seen needs to have done. So, anyways, we got the wheels off. They'll still kind of function once they're back on. The gear sides are okay, relatively. So, I'm going to go ahead and continue with the cleaning of this. But this actually is a good example, even for the Lionels, of the importance of cleaning them when you first get them. So this particular locomotive is filthy. The commutator armature is just absolutely gunked up. You can see, I mean, I have seen worse, but this one is bad. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to clean out the fields in here, give them a quick wipe down, get some of this surface rust off of them. And here's all this buildup of goop that was on here. It's kind of tacky. It was much thicker when I first pulled the wheels off. I did a little bit of scraping already. But that, combined with the goop on the gear side of the wheels, is likely what was binding this thing up so badly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tend to this American flyer, and since it's O gauge, it'll fit on the fast track that I have, so we'll be able to test it once it's done, unlike that pre-war standard where I needed to get the actual track for it, which I'm still waiting on at the time of this video. So I'm just going to start by getting some of the surface rust off of these parts of the fields and being careful not to hit that. I don't want to hit the copper winding, because there is a thin coat of lacquer that actually insulates those, and I don't want to take that off. So we'll just give this all a quick rub down. It's coming up pretty nice already without too much effort. Again, not using any cleaners. Still not heavy enough to do that on this piece. So just rubbing that all off. I don't know why it's got these brass dots. I wonder if that means that this thing's actually worn out. Now, if someone happens to know, you can write it down in the comments for me, or I can check it up later. Probably not, because I won't need that information again, because I'm not an American flyer guy. So let's see if we can get some of the dirt off of these windings here. So I'm just using a regular cloth. And I just want to wipe them carefully. It's not really making that big of a difference wiping them off. I'm just going to get my little plastic toothpick tool here and just kind of scrape out these grooves like we do for the Lionels, just to make sure they're free and clear. So there, that's that. I can put that off to the side. And now let's take a look at the main chassis here. So this is nice. This is the color that these should be. See the difference there. But we'll move on. So I'm just going to take my green Scotch pad and I'm going to clean a little bit of the rust and dirt off of these parts of the field here. And again, I'm not going to go too crazy on this. Just enough that I feel good and I can tell my uncle that, yeah, I did some work and I got the video to prove it. So now I'm going to get to this here. So all this old grease, there's some other stuff on here that's really tacked up. Again, being careful not to hit this. I don't want to scuff the lacquer insulation that's on there. Another reason this might have been so binding is there is no grease left in there whatsoever. So that would likely have a lot to do with it too. The other thing that bugs me is it's missing a roller. I don't have any parts for that. I don't know if there's a fix for that. If there is, you can type that in the comments too. That would be helpful. But it's something that I'm not even going to worry about because I know I don't have the part, and this is not my locomotive, and it's an American Flyer. I guess I got nothing against American Flyer. Yes, I do. I like Lionel's better. So, got all the gunk off. That was nice. That thing's still sticky. Whatever was in here was really sticky. Probably pop. Maybe someone tried to clean this with Coca-Cola. That would make sense. I can see there's a wear right there on that part of this coil. So, this up here, that's not dirt. That's oxidization. So I could sit here rubbing that all day and nothing's really going to happen. So I'm not going to worry about that. Just do my best with what I have got here. All right, I'm happy with that. We got a lot of the rust off. So we can just put this back together. Oh, maybe I'll get that down in there cleaned out too. Actually, I think this comes off. It does. So let's take this off. I was just thinking to get extra screws for any possible pre-war projects I get through. Maybe I should buy an old Meccano set that's missing a lot of things but the screws. They seem to be similar. So, I'm happy with that. We got all the gunk out of there. So I can put this now back on. There's two. Okay, so this side's back on. I can drop the commutator back into its nice, clean resting place. Oh, except for the hairs that I'm picking up here and there. So, I'm going to dump. It just sits like that. And here is our brush holder. So it comes around. I tried this. Oh, there we go. Maybe some of the WD-40 I put on softened whatever this was up. I don't know what this paper's for, but probably some insulator protector thing, clearly. Hit the Q-tip with the contact cleaner and clean out these little holes where the brushes sit. Alright, I'm going to call that clean. Those are done. Now I will reassemble the brushes. There's the spring, and then there's this little tiny plunger piece, and it goes in first and butts up against that wire, and then the spring, and that spring isn't looking too healthy, but I don't have a replacement of that, so I'm just putting back what came out. Perfect, there we go. So I am going to put this back together, or so I think. There's that. But actually, let's not get too carried away here. I'm going to hit this with some oil. Let's put a drop in there. There we go. Put a drop on here. So I just used what was left on the tip of the oil can just to wipe it on there. I don't want too much oil on there. So I know it's not good for the commutator. All right. So I'm going to drop all that in like so. And I will get the screws. There we go. There's one. Okay. So that's all back together. Stick this paper back however it was. I guess like that. I don't remember. I'll have to look at my pictures later and see. So there we have the motor all back together. I think I'm going to drop some grease down in there as well. Way too much. Dig some of that out. There we go. Here is the main gear, just like that. And I'm going to hit this with some grease. Actually, I'm not going to do that just yet. I'll put some grease up here, because I'm going to put the wheels on. I'll put those wheels on, and I'll put the grease on the main gear when those go in. This is their E unit, or direction control rather. It's not really an E unit. This is a push-pull up system, and it's riveted. In order to get this piece out, I got to separate this body, and I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to pretend I did. Hopefully my uncle doesn't see up to this part of the video. And just tell him, yep, I did that. It's good. All looks great. So now I'm going to fill these with grease for these axles that are bone dry. Put some grease on this gear and start reassembling this. Get my bearing grease, and I'm just going to put it in like that. Engage the gear. And there we go. That's working great. Put a little bit of grease on here. Okay, and I'll put the other wheel on, and I don't have to quarter these. So that shaft looks pretty lousy. I'm going to give that a clean too. And we'll drop this in. Oh. First, that's tight. I wonder why that's tight. Oh, the end's flared out a little bit. I did not notice that. Strange. Hey, learning stuff all the time. Now we'll drop it in. There we go. That's spinning much nicer than it did when I first got it here. Let's put back the wheels that have crumbled. There is not a lot left to work with. That is straight. Okay, well, straight as it's going to get. Let's go for wheel number 2. This one is tighter. And there we go. That's all set. Well, let's hook this up to a transformer. One that has a good circuit breaker. And see what happens. Okay, so I've got the test track set up. And since I don't trust this at all, what I prefer to use for these tests is actually my MTH modern controller with the transformer and circuit breaker right here. This is the system that I tend to use when I'm testing the locomotives now, especially these pre-war ones, because of the circuit breaker that's inside the power pack of this transformer is much better. I have seen the transformers smoke before, the KWs, and that just, if they don't have the upgraded circuit breaker in it. The one that I have, the KW that I have, it doesn't have the updated circuit breaker, so I don't want to burn it up. So I'm going to use this thing. So let's put some power to this, and let's see what it does. Let's set it. I guess that's neutral. Okay, so that's reverse. Well, that was forward. So, I'm going to have to say that was a success. Got it all cleaned up, got all that gunk removed from its wheels, and now it runs fine, smooth. So, all my uncle has to do now is get some replica wheels or find some ones in much better condition, because these have had it. They have seen better days. As you can see, yeah, even on this side now, they're splitting. So, there we go. I'm calling that a success. I did what I was asked to do, took it apart, gave it a clean, got it rolling free again, and it certainly does. But the rest is going to be up to my uncle. So what I'm going to do is finish buttoning this up by putting the shell back on it and giving my uncle a call and telling him, get this thing off my bench. Hey guys, thanks once again for watching and tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thank you all very much for the support and the comments. I love reading them. I love finding out the tips that some of you guys put on there and having the tips shared with the rest of the community. Don't forget to do all of the YouTube stuff, the like bell, and hit the subscribe. Go over to the Patreon page if you can. Help support me so I can keep on making these videos. And I also have some merch ready now, and I'll post the link to that and some pictures as well. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye now. I guess I should show how this thing went back together. So the frame slides over this chassis, and then this part is held in by these 2 large cotter pins, which is pretty unusual. I better put some electrical tape on that until the light gets back on, or it's just going to short on the body. Protected. Locked into place. There's the slot for the direction control. There we go. And we're back. The Weeble Wobble. Perfect.